we are doing some college. So last week was week 2 of the college season, and yeah, we saw some interesting matchups. It's starting to heat up a bit. It's not just the gimme games for these big schools. As we do, we are going to discuss the top 25. We're going to go through each game last week, and then we are going to do predictions for the next week, talk about some teams that left the top 25, talk about some teams that got into the top 25. But yeah, let's start with recapping week 2. So first game here I have is Georgia, the number 4 seed at home against Austin Peay. Yeah, no surprise here. Georgia comes out on top, but the score was a bit surprising. They only won by 22 in this one, a score of 28-6. But yeah, I mean, I didn't look too closely at this one. We kind of knew the outcome. I would not be surprised if backups came in and this was just kind of, yeah, we did it. Let's just run this clock.
Yeah, I think Georgia, I also didn't get to watch this one. I forget what window it was in. I was definitely watching something else here, but I think Georgia started a little slow, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they're still getting their feet under them as well with Gunnar Stockton at the helm. I mean, they looked decent last week at Marshall, 45-7, but this week they get a second win against Austin Peay. So good for them. 28-6. Who you got next?
So next we'll talk about my boys, LSU, number 3 team in the nation. They were at home against Louisiana Tech. Kind of the same thing here. A win for LSU to no surprise, but only a 7-23 victory for LSU. So yeah, a little bit surprising, but I'm not too worried. We got that Clemson game already checked. I think we're all right.
So you're not too worried. I do want to dig into this one. I've been prepping for this game conversation all day. So
oh no,
you said last week this was in regards to Arizona State, I believe. Might have been Iowa State. Can't quite remember. I think Arizona State because you picked against them. So you weren't really convinced based on, the prior game. And, they're going up against, Mississippi State, blah, 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 based on past opponents, how they were doing. Might have been Iowa State then, I think, actually, just because they played 2 games before, because they had the early Kansas State-Iowa State game. But regardless, LSU now, they've played Clemson, which we'll talk about how Clemson did this week in a bit. But they did not look good at all, again.
No.
At all. So is beating Clemson in week 1 by a tutty a big accomplishment actually at this point? I get getting that game out of the way as a game. I guess I'm more coming at it from, is LSU really
Clemson
a scary team? No, are either of them good? If LSU then only beats, Louisiana Tech 23-7, only beats Clemson team that's looking not so great by 7 in week 1. So
well, let's remember we disagree about a certain touchdown that was not called in that
regardless of if it's 7 or 14. Regardless, it's 7 or 14. There.
They looked much better than Clemson. We both understand that Clemson, at least on paper, is one of the most talented schools. So yeah, I would still say that is a good win. It's early in the season. These teams sometimes they have slow starts. We know this. I think that's kind of what's going on.
It's more so, is LSU really the number 3 team in the country? I don't think so.
I mean, to this point, I'm not upset with that ranking. They will be tested. I mean, they're going to have freaking numerous SEC matchups against good schools. This very week, they play a Florida team who we'll get to, but just lost. They're going to be hot and ready to go. So I think this week I will have a better answer for you because this Florida team's not going to want to lose. So
fair.
We'll see. But yeah, I don't have a problem with them being ranked 3 at all. I mean, that Clemson game, in my opinion, is a good win, regardless of how they've looked so far. They have a lot of talent. And this coming from Penn State, who hasn't played anybody.
I'm it's totally separate.
It's wild.
Totally. I mean, I'm gonna dig into them here in a bit. I'm gonna dig into them here in a bit. Don't you worry. I wasn't pleased at all with what I saw.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get it.
To answer your question, I don't have a problem with it right now. But yeah, you're right. It's early. They haven't really played anybody other than Clemson, but I mean, we're talking about college week 2 here.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So,
I get it. I'm just saying you were making those conclusions last week about another school, so I wanted to, bring the parallel to LSU this week, and at least have the conversation about it. But fair enough, fair
fair.
enough.
Yeah.
Who's up next on the docket?
Uh, so let's go. We'll stay SEC. We got Bama, who fell to 21 after their week 1 loss to Florida State, but they took on UL Monroe. I think we kind of expected something similar to this, but the final was 73 to nothing, Alabama. So yeah, they were definitely blowing off some steam here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say, not to throw you under the bus or anything here, but I don't know if I would say both of us expected this much of a blowout. If I remember correctly, where you said with Bama, I don't know, up is down, down is up, left is
Yeah.
right, right
Oh
is
yeah.
left. So
Yeah.
just to
I
recall,
knew they were.
uh,
I knew they were going to frickin' want this bad, not pull
yes,
starters, and they
yeah,
certainly wanted it to be ugly. But you're right. Yeah, I was like, I don't know what to expect.
yeah.
But yeah, I still at the end of the day picked Bama. That would have been
Oh,
wild to
yes.
not pick them
And
in
they
this
did this
matchup. But
without Ryan Williams as well. So
yeah,
while it's still UL Monroe, they should be able to beat them without Ryan Williams. If they had Ryan Williams, this might have been even worse. But they
triple
looked a lot
digits.
better. If I see it, that's actually crazy. That would be nuts. I could see it happening though. The way some of these schools score these days,
Yeah,
and some of the schools they play. But Alabama looked a lot better uh, week 2. It is just UL Monroe, but they looked like a competent football team again. And Florida State's, I'm just going to jump right to that if you don't mind. Florida State
Mhm.
put up an even bigger number against their opponent this week, Eastern Texas A&M,
Yeah,
77 points. So Florida State might be no joke either. I get
yeah.
it's still Eastern Texas A&M, but 77 points. Oh my
Right.
goodness.
Yeah. It's literally you got to have a perfect game. You just run out of time
Mhm.
to have scores like that. So, yeah, it's wild. We had some other I mean, we had a few other teams in the 60s this week, which we'll get to. In fact, one of them is next on my list, and that's the six seed Oregon Ducks taking on Oklahoma State, a team that hasn't been themselves in years.
Yes.
And I think I mentioned that last week. I'm like, I don't know what happened here. They used to be solid as a kid growing up, but yeah, they lost 63 or 69 to 3 here.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not a UL Monroe or a A&M Eastern or whatever, but the A&M branch games, those are wild. But yeah, so probably the most impressive win and margin this week is that one. But yeah, that's a ridiculous score for playing another Power 5 team.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. 69 to 3 is nuts. Oregon's offense looks scary with Dante Moore back there. He's looking really excellent so far in these first few weeks. We'll see how he ramps up against even more serious competition. But even though Oklahoma State hasn't been, as decent as they were in recent years, like that's not a team to just sneeze at. And it, as you said, it's on
Right.
Eastern Texas A&M, which like when you
Yeah.
put that on like the terms you put it in were perfect. It's like a Texas A&M branch campus. That's like one of these SEC or Big Ten schools going and playing Penn State Harrisburg, bro. Like that's
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's
crazy
wild.
work.
It's
Yeah.
wild to put up that kind of score against a Power 5 team. Um but yeah, and then another Big Ten matchup, your boys, number 2 Penn State at home taking on FIU, a shutout victory. Always fun to see. 34 nothing here. What were your takes?
So this game may very well have ended 34 to nothing, but I was honestly anything but pleased with this performance. I mean, the defense with the shutout is fine. That's great and all, but Drew didn't have a great game against, FIU. We're supposed to win this game by 43 and a half or something like that, which we ended up getting close to by the end of the game. But the game script certainly wasn't that. Drew was like 19 of 33, only throwing for 200 yards. Not great. Katron Allen did have a good game, 16 carries, like
Yeah.
150-ish. One of them being a big breakaway run, though, so that was,
Yeah.
huge.
Crazy average.
Yeah. So the passing game just really wasn't there in a game, or this should have been a game for them to build on the passing game and get ready for the stronger opponents with better secondaries. And I didn't see
Yes.
that, and it doesn't give me a lot of confidence when we're going up against, say, teams like, I'm going to say them, Ohio State, who've got Caleb Downs lurking in the back. That's not a lot of confidence for me with how they played against FIU here. I mean, 34-0, if you didn't watch the game, you might look at them and be like, "Oh, Penn State did pretty well." That really wasn't my takeaway. I thought it was kind of a crappy performance overall.
Oh yeah, and it was just a really slow start. To your point, I mean this thing was a game for a while, and
Yeah,
yeah, it really shouldn't have been. The difference in talent is pretty drastic.
I
So,
mean, 10-0
and
at
like
half.
you said, yeah,
That's
and like you
crazy.
said, these are the games you want to get comfortable, get the confidence up in your quarterback and the rest of the guys, and yeah, I don't think that really happened, but I guess the defense can feel pretty good.
Defense should
um,
feel pretty good.
yeah. But another kind of similar situation, we had 7 seed Texas play San Jose State. Texas was home in this one. This was one that's similar. We talked about it, Texas with the early season loss already. How's Arch going to respond? Did not play very well in week one. And here he's going up against San Jose State defense where he should be able to let it fly and, get the confidence up. And I would say he did do that. He had a pretty good game. The final was 38-7 there in Texas's favor. But yeah, got the confidence up. Don't necessarily think I'm an arch believer though after seeing this one and after seeing week one. Definitely looked better, but there's some concern. I mean, even just in his mechanics, and there's a clip going around that went pretty viral of him like grimacing in pain after throwing.
That's what I was saying about the
Which
sidearm, dude. The sidearm
right,
in week
yes,
one, I was
and I
like,
was gonna,
something's up.
yeah, yep. And if you look back to like through him in high school and even last year in Texas, his release really wasn't that way. So I wonder if like they're teaching him poorly and trying to make him flashy or fancy. Like I don't know what they're doing, but clearly it's not really working. The numbers haven't been great, and yeah, it seems like he's having some pain. Which, granted, they do use him as a runner quite a bit. He's not the biggest guy in the world, may be more from that than him throwing, but certainly alarming to see your quarterback grimace in pain after releasing the ball.
No, 100%. And this one, gosh, this is a game where it's tough to judge Arch on. I think I didn't get to watch it too closely, but they scored like 5 touchdowns in like 6 minutes at the end of the first quarter. In the beginning of the second quarter, went up 28-0. It only ends 38-7 after that. So for the rest of the game, it was a 10-7 game. So I'm not quite sure if there was. Did you actually get to watch the full game? I guess I'll ask.
No, I was actually at work, so I I was like listening
Yeah.
in, and I did prioritize other games that were, more evenly matched. So
So I
I was
also.
more of a box score warrior in this
No,
one.
that's fair. That wasn't coming at you from like I don't know, but I'm just thinking. I wonder if they got up 28-0. Arch, threw his 3 or 4 touchdowns or whatever it was in that game, and
Mhm.
if he is indeed in pain throwing the ball, you know, slowed down a little bit because they knew they already
Yeah.
had the game in hand. So I wonder if there's something like that that might be at play. But like I
Yeah,
said, I
certainly a
told you.
possibility.
Told you in week one, the arm angle was not. It did not look
Yeah.
correct in that game against Ohio State. So
Yeah, I think you're on to something for sure. Already getting proof in your favor just through week two. So
yes,
we'll see where it goes from here. But I mean, it's a team that certainly needs them, and they need them playing well. The SEC competition is going to ramp up here, so we'll see what they're made of.
yeah. We absolutely will. Good news for him. He's got another tune-up game this week. So,
Yeah, that's very true.
yeah.
Moving on, we got 11 seed Illinois taking on Duke. Duke was home in this one. This game held my interest for quite a bit. Again, I was at work listening, tuning in when I can. This game was pretty close, but in the end, Illinois pulled away. Got a nice win here, 45-19.
Yeah, Illinois might be something serious, man. It was, Duke is not terrible at football these
No,
days.
they're
Like, they're
not.
not terrible. And it was close for a little bit, but as soon as Illinois got a chance to pull away, boy, did they ever. I mean, 45-19 is for as close as it was for how
That's
long
right.
it was. Like, they really poured it on here towards the back half of the game. And Illinois just looks really, really good so far. I don't know if
Yeah.
they've put a foot wrong in these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, they look very sound. They're not getting in their own way, but you see that with plenty of teams, good teams, bad teams, and teams in the middle. But yeah, this team certainly doesn't seem to be doing it, and you can go pretty far when you're just not hurting yourself because a lot
So
of teams
true.
tend to do that.
They definitely do. They definitely do. I think Illinois is learning what their strengths are, and they're capitalizing on it to this point. I'm definitely curious to see how they do when they get into consistent Big Ten competition. I will
Yes.
say. Um,
Yeah, and consistent is an important note there because you get these teams early on. Yeah, you had a tough week one matchup, but then weeks 2 through 3 were cake. But yeah, as the season goes on, like you can have a stretch of like 4 out of 5 games are tough, and all
yep.
5 are conference games, and yeah, that can really tax on you. So yeah, good shout there. I can't wait for conference play, man.
I know
It's gonna
that.
get juicy.
It also means that we're going to be able to focus in on a few. There's going to be less games because a lot of these teams from the Big Ten
Yes,
and
they're gonna be
SEC that
ranked.
are
Yeah.
ranked are going to be playing each other. So
Yeah,
pay a little more
we
close
won't have to
attention.
talk about yeah, we won't have to talk about Eastern Texas A&M anymore.
Oh, you don't want to talk about
Uh,
Bethune
it's just
Cookman, bro? Come on.
no, I don't. I really don't. But the next game was a rivalry and our first difference of the week. We had Iowa take on Iowa State. In a game that was, if I recall correctly, pretty much what we expected. A low
Yeah,
scoring defensive game. That's kind of how Iowa likes it. And yeah, they're pretty good at dictating the terms when it comes to these games because they find themselves in them all the time.
punter is
But the
always
front,
their best player, man.
yeah, right. Yeah, and tight end.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, final here was 13-16 in favor of Iowa State, giving me the win. But yeah, certainly a close game. And like I said, right where Iowa wanted it. So
It very,
a
very
play or
well
two
could have
goes their
gone.
way, and this is a different
Yeah,
outcome.
no, it very well could have, like, even on the last drive where Iowa, ended up taking the lead. They needed a pretty insane third down pass completion. I don't know if you saw the clip. I can't quite remember. Bounced off like 2 guys and right into the hands of the Iowa State receiver for a first down. And there was definitely some luck involved there. Not saying that Iowa
Yeah.
would have been able to capitalize and move the ball. That is not their
Yeah,
strength.
right.
But
True.
I think
They're
on
good
that
at not
particular
allowing ball
drive,
movement.
yeah, on that particular drive, I think they were a little unlucky. And Iowa's a team where if you get to overtime, that's a tough spot to try and beat Iowa, I think, because they don't have a
Yes.
lot of field to cover on the offensive side, so that really helps them.
Yeah.
And their defense is stout. So
Yeah.
if that one goes
That's
to
a good
overtime, it's
point.
an interesting one.
Yeah, it totally would have been. Iowa State would have been kicking a lot of field goals, I think. And
Yeah.
like you said, Iowa, not too much offensive pressure to move the ball. So yeah, that would have been fun. But yeah, certainly a good game. A nice, almost like old fashioned game there. Nice low scoring affair. Every point really mattered. Um, Next game, not so much. And another one where we had a difference in picks. We had Baylor take on 17 ranked SMU, a game in which Baylor won, giving AJ the win there. And that final was 48-45. I freaked out, almost got fired because of this game, because of all the missed field goals by SMU.
Oh,
It was
yes.
unreal. But kudos to Baylor. There were moments in this game where it was starting to slip away, and they just stayed in it. And Yeah, I mean, it was a wild finish. A lot of scoring late in the fourth, and yeah, missed field goals, winning the OT, more missed
Yeah,
field goals,
that's crazy.
and
Like
Baylor comes out on top.
the missed field goal at the end of regulation for the SMU kicker, acceptable. That was in the 50s, I think. So
It
over,
was.
you know,
This guy's leg is
no,
crazy too.
crazy.
He's just
Yeah, no,
not accurate at all.
yeah. But then, man, the one in overtime was tough. That was a tough,
Yeah,
because to push it right again, after just missing pushing right was
yeah,
really tough. But I mean, you said it. SMU honestly was ahead for almost the entirety of this game. They were up
yeah.
14 with like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Baylor goes ahead, scores 7, gets the ball back, ties it up. SMU, penalty for unnecessary. No, that's right. I actually do want to talk about this. There was a targeting on Baylor that they went to review. I don't know if you got to see this in your freakoutness, but
Yeah,
there was a targeting call that should have, at the very least, probably admittedly stayed helmet to helmet. But they went to review because it was definitely helmet to helmet, but I don't think it was or unnecessary roughness, whatever you want to call it. Hit him really hard in the head, but it wasn't. I don't
mhm,
think it was targeting because it wasn't helmet to helmet. It was shoulder pad to the dome as he was
okay.
sliding. Like the quarterback was giving himself up, so that's why it should have still been a penalty there. Went down. They review it, just the penalty's gone entirely. They said no targeting. They also didn't give him the 15 yards, which really, really made a difference on that last drive because I would have put him closer for the field goal. No guarantees the SMU kicker makes it, obviously, based on what we
Right.
saw.
Yeah.
But it would have given him even better opportunity there. But that was crazy. I mean, Baylor's quarterback threw for I think 440 yards on
Yeah. It's
like
crazy.
35 of 50. I mean, threw 50 passes, but still, that's almost 9 yards an attempt. Still at that point,
Yeah.
that's not that bad. So
No.
Baylor,
Yeah.
I'm
It was a
glad.
fun game.
Yes, I'm glad. Watching this game, I'm very okay with where I've got them in the squeaking into the playoffs after that week 1 loss to Auburn, especially with Auburn,
Yep.
looking pretty decent so far this year,
Mhm.
beating a ranked team in SMU. I like the direction that Baylor's heading. Let's go Baylor
Yeah.
Bears.
Yeah, yeah. I said it before college even started. I like that pick from you. And yeah, after week one, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, yeah. After this week, yeah, it's a big win, regardless of how it happened. But this game just reminds us all how wonderful college football is. And like we always say, these are freaking kids in charge of these games. These kickers in that kind of spotlight, 20-year-old kid, however old he is, like that's a tough place to be. And yeah, once you miss one, then it's in your head. How do you recover? Can you bounce back? And yeah, you couldn't in this case. But yeah, just an example of the awesomeness that is college football. Um, but yeah, AJ got that one. So at this point, we are tied this week. We did have one other difference, which we will get to. But the next game I have is Kennesaw State versus 23 Indiana. Indiana blew them out of the water here, 56-9. Um, are they as good as they were last year? I don't think this game is much to read into, but certainly a very nice win there, a good margin. So I don't know. Maybe they
I
are
I
another
don't
team
know.
that's no joke in the Big Ten.
I think I think that Indiana is going to take a little bit of a step back. I don't know that they're going to
Yeah.
be a bad team, but I don't think they're going to be quite as good. I mean, they lost 2 games last year. It was pretty crazy. So I think Illinois could surprise and be that team this year. I really do like what Illinois got cooking this year. I'm
Yeah, that's a good shout. Um, but yeah, I agree, and I feel like the committee agrees too. I mean, having them at
yeah.
23, nothing too crazy, and yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see once it gets in the conference play, like we will with most of these teams, what they're made of. But yeah, I like that shout. Illinois could be that dark horse Big Ten team this year.
It is kind of unfortunate. Like we may have said this in a recent episode in the past, but it is just so unfortunate that these first like 3-4 weeks, depending on your schedule, are just like, yeah, it might help with your AP ranking, but in reality, your season actually starts when you get into conference play, since you don't
Yeah,
even look at your overall record said, when it comes to SEC and Big Ten, it's what is your conference record determines
Yep.
who's going to the chip and whatnot. So
It's so true. But yeah, it's something I hope they address in college football. Like even if it means actually giving these teams a preseason, why the hell not? Like give them 2 games, maybe even 1 game, whatever. But make these games matter. I mean, what do you get? You get 10, 11 games? Like let's make them count.
yeah,
Let's not give freebies.
we don't
So,
need to
but yeah, it's
see
something I hope they
we don't
address.
need to see Kennesaw going to Indiana at Indiana.
No,
It's just not something we
no.
need to see. You know.
No, we don't. We do not care for it, and we've talked about it too much already. So we're moving on. Next, we have Kent State versus 24 Texas Tech. Red Raiders ran away with it, 62-14. Yeah, Texas Tech. I think they're going to be pretty solid. Again, we'll know more once they play somebody, but yeah, so far so good. They're putting up a lot of
I
points.
was gonna
So
say they look like an
which is
offensive
yeah, and
powerhouse. Yeah.
that's kind of their MO, that's
Yes.
what they do. They've always done that. They struggle with their defensive side of the ball. But yeah, certainly scoring is not going to be a problem for this team.
Yeah, I forgot they had in the 70s somewhere last week and then 62 this week. That is just
Yeah.
absurd to be at
Oh yeah.
plus
They've
130 points.
oh my gosh, they've already scored more than I was going to score the entire year.
That's maybe true. Maybe true. But
Oh,
there are
I
some really
know.
bad teams in
Crazy.
the Big Ten that even they might be able to move the ball against, like
Yeah.
Northwestern or Purdue.
Yeah.
There's only
It's
2,
this is
I
true.
honestly I would say. But UCLA
Yeah.
there, but I think even
Rutgers
yeah,
Rutgers is close too.
yeah, they're not great, but they're not like trash. And I think Iowa truly needs to play a trash team to move the ball effectively. Um,
Yeah. Very
anyways,
fair.
love hating on another Big Ten. It's really fun
Yes.
times.
Our next one here, we had Utah State taking on 19 Texas A&M, the main campus, to clarify. There's so many, so we have to specify. But the score here was 22-44. Yeah, I think A&M's getting it rolling. I think they're going to be pretty good. Think they've already advanced pretty good in the polling too. I mean, again, 2 weeks in, have they really even played anybody? Not so much, but yeah, a team that I think is on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean, they looked a little better than week 1
Mm.
against UTEP, I think, if I'm or UTSA, something like that.
I think it was UTSA.
Yeah,
They let a lot of points up to them,
yeah, and I
which
mean,
was weird.
so 22 is not great.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
Utah State's a little
it's
bit better of
not.
a team, probably. I'm a little worried about their defense, honestly. And a team that's got to go play a lot of these SEC teams later with more, established talent and better
Mm,
talent pools. I'm a little concerned about their defense. I think I said this last week. I'm going to say it again. They're winning these games right now, but I think their defense should be holding these teams to less points. I mean, you look at all these
yeah,
other teams, and it's like, oh, I mean, like I said, FIU 0, San Jose State 7. I mean, Duke got 19. I'd say they're better than Utah State. Eastern Texas A&M 3. Nobody scored higher than 16 in Iowa State. I mean, SMU Baylor is a totally separate call. They're both good. Kennesaw State
yeah,
9, Kent State 14, Grambling 0, also P 6, Oklahoma State 3. So, if you compare across the board here, that's not great numbers for Texas A&M's
yeah.
defense.
There's cause for concern there for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, that's one this is one where you can learn a little bit. I mean, you can go for that first upset against A&M against an SEC unranked opponent. They get a team like Arkansas or something. You
Yep.
pull the trigger on that. Um but yeah, moving on, you mentioned Grambling. They took on the number 1 seed Ohio State, and yeah, they scored 0. This was 70-0 Ohio State, so they were not messing around.
No, they were not. Ohio State looked really good. Jeremiah Smith looked really good. I think he got over the fact they had a couple drops in week
Yeah.
1. Got back to his normal
Yes.
self here
They
against
they definitely
Grambling.
made a point. They made a point to get him going for sure.
Yes. So Ohio State just absolutely dominated.
Yeah.
70-0. Unfortunate.
Gross. Yeah, unfortunate. Next one, an interesting one. We had Troy take on 8 ranked Clemson. Only a 27-16 score here. You kind of mentioned it earlier on. Is Clemson the team we thought they were? Especially in my case, this is my winner of it all prediction before the season started.
I think it might be
And
mine too.
yeah, that's concerning. I don't think they were for you, but they certainly were a playoff team for you and
Yeah.
most people, I'm sure. But yeah, 16-27 against a Troy team, not what you want to see. I mean, we talk about A&M giving up points to teams they shouldn't. Clemson definitely did that here, but not only did they do that, they also only scored 27 against them. So it was a little bit of both sides of the ball. We saw some turnovers by Klubnik as well, little concerning. You want to see clean football against these opponents, and you want to see a lot of numbers, and we didn't quite see that. So yeah, unsure of what kind of team they really are. I think they're going to have to find themselves as the season goes on, and the tough matchups are coming. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, but they have one this week. Um, but yeah, it's definitely puzzling to see them struggle this way.
No, yeah, they're really, really struggling, and I did check while you were talking there, and I had Clemson making the Final Four, but then I do have them
Okay.
out. So that makes me feel a little bit better because for some reason I
Yeah.
thought I also had them doing that, but then I remembered I got Penn State beating them. It's who I also dug into earlier, so feeling super confident about that right now. Um, Anyways, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Clemson, this is a team that Clemson should really have had no problem with, and for a long time they looked like they might be in trouble, like genuine trouble of losing this game. And they're at a point where dropping the game to LSU is not the end of the world, most likely. Like that's
Yeah.
fine. Ranked SEC team. Dropping to Troy would have been a real problem unless they decided to pull a Notre Dame, losing to Northern Illinois and then making a run to the
Yeah.
chip. Um, but they, as you mentioned, the ACC, there's not a ton of overall talent there, in my opinion, but there are a few teams that
Yeah.
could give them some problems if they do not figure it out quick. Miami being one of them. You mentioned the one we're going to talk about this week being Georgia Tech. We'll get to
Yeah.
that. They're not a rollover team. Many teams are in the ACC, in my opinion, but there are a few that aren't. And if Clemson does not figure it out, they may not
Yeah,
make
they're
it
gonna
to
drop these
the
games.
ACC championship game. So
Yeah. Yeah, they have to. They gotta figure it out. You can't dick around. Like we said, there aren't a lot of games to be played. These earlier games where you get the few gimmies, this is where you figure it out. And I mean, end of the day, they won the game. They learned a lot. They can adjust. Maybe they're okay. But yeah, it's certainly a bit alarming with the outcome in that one. But let's move on. We had a conference matchup, an SEC clash. 20 seed Ole Miss going on the road to Kentucky. This one was a humdinger, and last year I believe Kentucky won this matchup too, which is wild too. But Ole Miss did end up staying on top here. It was 30-23. But yeah, I mean Kentucky, much like Duke, known as a basketball school, but yeah, certainly no joke on the football side of things as well. But yeah, Ole Miss hangs on in a scary one, 30-23.
yes, 30-23, and I feel bad for we've been bringing up betting a little bit recently on the podcast, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we
gonna do
have.
another one here. Ole Miss had a 10-point lead going into the last minute of the game. Kentucky had the ball. They allow Kentucky throws a 38-yard pass, kick a field goal, try to get the onside kick, and then score a touchdown, which hits the under for the spread. So Kentucky ended up covering the spread rather than Ole Miss. So I just thought that was ironic how these always coming down to the wire here, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a big thing. But last minute, why even? I mean, you already threw the just go for the. Doesn't make sense to me either to kick the field goal at that time. To be honest, you're better off onside kick into a field goal because you need literally one play and then try a field goal based on where the ball's at.
Right.
So, anyways, just my line of thinking. Found that interesting as well. Maybe they had some calls in from Vegas in the headset there.
Yeah, yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, there's so many factors. How much time's left? Do you have timeouts? All that. That definitely gets factored in there. But yeah, it makes you wonder if Vegas is, the puppet master here. But
I
yeah,
don't
I don't
actually
want to go
believe
through the
that,
wormhole.
but yeah, I don't actually believe that, but it is some of those things are just great. I think the reality is the people who make the spreads are just really, really good at their jobs. And that's
Yeah.
why they're difficult and sports books make money.
Yeah, it's very true. So yeah, we have ETSU taking on 22 Tennessee, 72-17 win for Tennessee. Certainly going to take 72 points no matter who you play. On the defensive side of the ball, though, giving up 17 to this school, I did not pay attention to this game personally, but yeah, if this 17 points was earned against Tennessee, that is a bit alarming. But if it was whatever, we're running the clock, let them have some fun. That's another thing. But with Tennessee taking on Georgia this upcoming week, which we will talk about that matchup in a matter of moments. Yeah, it could be alarming, but yeah, when you're scoring 72, that 17 gets even smaller. So
Yep.
I wouldn't be too worried.
I think the main focus for Tennessee here in this first few weeks was how is the offense moving after moving on from Nico, and it
Yeah,
certainly seems to be clicking
it's
to
doing
this
good.
point. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I hope you're having fun at UCLA, Nico, where you're going to lose many, many games this year. I hope the paycheck was worth it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
for
So
real.
let's move on to another one. I'm gonna jump us to USF Florida. Man,
Oh,
it's
my favorite one of the week, baby.
yeah. Is USF a real squad this year? I will say this win definitely makes Boise State's loss look a lot better for Boise State
Yes,
in
it
the
does.
Mountain West. I'll tell you
Yes,
that.
it does.
But I
Yeah,
was shocked that Florida lost this game, especially at home.
yeah, it's wild. I mean, South Florida, a team that we have seen in recent years be really good, but last year not so much. They seem to right the ship. They're doing good. I mean, beating two ranked opponents. This very upcoming week, they take on Miami too. So what a ridiculous start for them. Very difficult, but so far they have rose to the occasion, and they're 2-0. And I love it because screw you, Florida. But and again, we'll get to that. Florida's taking on LSU. They're going to be hungry. So yeah, little scary for me now. It's becoming almost a must-win game, even though this was an out-of-conference loss. It susses me out, man. But boy, am I happy South Florida pulled this off. 18-16 is the final, too. Another really low scoring game. Even if I was to predict South Florida winning this game, that certainly isn't the score I would have gone with. I would have thought it would have been more high scoring than that. But yeah, that's kind of puzzling, but certainly a good sign for LSU that Florida was held to 16 by a South Florida defense when LSU's defense to this point has looked really, really good. So
Yeah. No, it's gonna be fun. 18-16. I mean, like I said, is USF just something serious? I mean, we are going to learn a lot about that question this upcoming week. We will talk
yeah,
about that USF Miami game in a bit. Let's move on to a couple others. Most of these well, there's actually two pretty decent ones left. Let's get through the iffy ones first. A little quick rundown. Cal Poly traveling to 25 Utah. Utah taking this one 63-9. As I said, Utah is a consistently underrated
yeah,
college football team. I do
they
not
are.
understand it. I don't know why, but they are a consistently good football team.
Yeah, it's criminal. I agree.
Yeah. And now the team that you said you didn't really want to talk about, every weekly here. Bethune Cookman taking on Miami in Miami, only losing by a score of 45-3. And yes, I did say only because
Yeah,
look at some of these other,
that's impressive.
point amounts these schools are allowing. Bethune Cookman's probably about on par with them. Only lost 45 to Miami. They're probably pretty happy with that. Probably got away with like a $10 million payout for coming to play Miami too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they got to be pleased with that. And yeah, didn't even get shut out. Didn't get to touch the end zone though. But yeah, that's a small victory.
Yeah. Hey, those schools take those small victories, baby.
They do. Give me 10 mil.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally pulled that out of my ass, by the way. Could have been more, could have been less. Who knows?
Yeah, I
But
don't know what they're getting paid, but I'm sure it was nice.
yeah, no, I agree. Then we got SC State traveling to South Carolina to lose 38-10. Lenora Sellers looking decent there. I didn't think it was too crazy, but he's looking pretty decent so far. I think a lot of mock drafts actually have him now jumping Arch for the #1 quarterback pick in this year's draft. So the
Okay.
stock's moving up there for him.
Yeah. Kudos to you. Diving into the mocks already. You're a wild one.
Hey man, when you got dynasty teams, you always be tracking,
Yeah.
and there are decisions to make every week of the year, bro.
That's so true.
I'm not telling you who, but I actually thought about adding one of my guys to the to the trade block in our dynasty. So and
Oh,
he was,
I
and
think
he's
I
a
know who.
mainstream guy. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe you'll get some offers.
We'll see. We'll
I
see.
know it's not a running back though, so
That's actually not true.
oh.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we'll
We'll talk
talk when
about
we're
that
done.
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arizona State, Michigan State. This is one where I
Or
went with
Mississippi State. Yeah.
Mississippi State. What did I say? Michigan State? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Spartans.
I know I'm ready to move on to the Michigan Oklahoma game. It's made me happy. But Arizona State, Mississippi State. This one I went with Arizona State here. You with Mississippi State. So this gave you the lead on the week here with three differences. You had two, and I had one correct. So +1 for you on the week. So just for everybody in the crowd, quick tracking. Chris is 39-7 so far this year. I am 37-9. Not bad numbers. Not bad numbers. But yeah,
Right.
Mississippi State 24, Arizona State 20, and I thought Mississippi State was they played pretty well. They played better than I expected, but I also think a big factor of it was I don't think that Arizona State played particularly well either. They
Yeah.
were also on the road, so that's tough going to any SEC school's home stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the name of the game here for me. I mentioned it last week when I made the pick too. Like and I feel like you were on the same board here. Arizona State was bound to fall. Uh, Being ranked 12, losing what they lost in talent last year, it seemed like this is not going to hold up. But yeah, I saw SEC opponent going on the road. Yeah, so I called it, and I thought I might have done it a little too early, but yeah, it worked out for me. But yeah, I agree. I think it was a little bit of both. Mississippi State looking pretty good, and yeah, certainly Arizona State not being as good as people think.
Yeah. Now, let's move on to the last game from last weekend.
Yeah,
Man, I am excited to
another
talk
fun
about
one.
this one. Michigan traveling to Oklahoma to take on Oklahoma. They lose it 24-13. And oh my gosh, Michigan could get absolutely nothing going at all. They had one bright spot on offense, and that was the very first play of the second half when Justin Haynes takes off for a 75-yard touchdown on the first play. That was it. That was basically the entirety of their offense all day, and I loved it. It is fantastic. Going on a loss. Now, Shamar Moore is about to be suspended for the next 2 games. I will say I'm forgetting the interim head coach name at this moment, but he looked like a freaking G. I didn't want to like him because he's going to be coaching Michigan, but he looked like that dude. So he looked awesome. But I loved how terrible Michigan looked. Bryce Underwood looked terrible. He was getting into it with his running backs on the sideline too, showing a little bit of temper control issues.
Crumbling, the
Exactly.
crumble.
So
Yeah, it's a
fantastic.
beautiful thing. It's not every week where you see Florida and Michigan lose in the same week, but I personally am very happy about this. The only thing that sucks is both of us didn't call either of them. And we're all over these teams losing. We
This
want
is
it to happen.
this is true. I mean, I just didn't think Oklahoma was that great, and I don't know that necessarily they are. I think we talked about it last week. I think both of them are currently overrated. I think this
Yeah.
really threw that nail in the coffin for me for Michigan. Like I said, they were horrible,
Oh
horrible,
yeah.
especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think Oklahoma's
Flo-
bound to fall at some point too. Just well,
yeah,
didn't happen to be this week against a
yeah. They
bad
couldn't
Michigan
both
team.
fall,
Yeah.
so I'll take the Michigan fall, and yeah, I mean Michigan's on their way to falling out of the top 25, and guess what, Chuckster? We don't have to talk about them then.
Ooh, I actually it's that's mixed feelings because then I don't get to
Yeah,
hate on them, right? Like
right,
I
right.
really
Well,
want to.
they'll play some ranked Big
That's
Ten teams, and
that's
then we
actually a
get to
fair
talk
point.
our
I
shit.
prefer them to be out of the top 25, and then I just get to talk about them when they play Penn State, Ohio State, all those respective dudes. So before we move on to predict week 3 here in college, I'm just going to give a rundown of who got added to the top 25, so who we're going to be talking about, and who dropped out of the top 25 with some losses. Also, another fuck you to Notre Dame. Bye week in week 2. They didn't play, so that's why we didn't talk
Yeah,
about them. They just give me reasons every week. I don't know what they
yeah.
want from me. But anyways, added to the top 25. USF after impressive wins over Boise State and Florida now. We've got
Hmm.
Auburn after wins over Baylor, and honestly, I don't know off the top of my head who they played last week, uh,
Yeah, me either.
but they beat Baylor.
But
Baylor beat
nice win,
SMU.
Auburn.
Yeah, yeah,
They
exactly.
won.
Yeah, they had to. And then Missouri, uh, another. Gosh, this is
Yeah.
just to comment on that super quick, this is looking like another Will Levis type situation where the backup quarterback at Penn State leaves and then just looks really
He's
damn
looking
good
good.
because Bo Prabula
Yeah,
is looking good there in
he is.
Missouri. Uh, and the spots that they took up were Arizona State after their loss to Mississippi State, Florida after their loss to USF, and SMU after losing to Baylor. So we've got 3 new teams, 3 in, 3 out. Let's get to it. What game you want to pick first, my guy?
Well, first up, I have Indiana State taking on 22 ranked Indiana. Yeah, we mentioned Indiana may fall, but I don't think it's here, so I'm going Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I don't think Indiana, this is the game that they lose, especially at home, taking on Indiana State. A little bit of rivalry, sure, but I don't think that Indiana State's got the firepower needed to take down Indiana.
Yeah. Very nice. Next, I got 12 seed Clemson taking on Georgia Tech. Mentioned this one a little earlier, and yeah, I'm going Georgia Tech, one of my favorite teams in college football. So a little bias here, but I think the timing's just really bad for Clemson. They certainly don't have their shit together. You don't want to play Georgia Tech when it's that way. I mean, even look back last year, one of the best games all season was Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech retained a lot of talent. They're on the up and up. They got a good coach. Um, yeah, and I just don't think it's good timing for Clemson. I think if this game's much later in the season when Clemson has their shit together, that's a different outcome. But here I'm going Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's fair. I also love Georgia Tech because they produced Calvin Johnson for me. So they will always have a soft spot in my heart because of that. I mean, the man's jersey is always in my background over here. Love that
There he
guy.
is.
But I agree with a lot of your points here, but I ended up going Clemson. I think at some point with the talent on their team, they are going to have to figure it out. I think it is bound
Yeah,
to happen at some point. This is the first game that really, really matters for them in the ACC, taking on Georgia Tech. And I'm not like the hugest Dabo guy in the world, but he
yeah,
is a very good coach. And I
he
think
is.
that he finds a way with the talent on his team to get enough out of them, at least on the right track, to squeak out this game. I do not think that they're going to win this handily by any means. I think they will
Right.
squeak out this win.
Yeah. No, good shout. I certainly feel like this is an upset pick for me here, but yeah, I think Clemson struggled a lot at home 2 games in a row. Now they're going on the road. We know I care way too much about that shit. I'm going Tech. Uh, but moving on, we got 13 seed Oklahoma taking on Temple, my dad's alma mater. Shout out, Dad. Not going Temple though. Oklahoma.
Yeah, like I said, I think Oklahoma bound to fall at some point. I think they're definitely overrated at 13 here, but it is not going to be this week against Temple, and they'll probably move up even a little bit more.
Yeah. And for the record, we don't talk much about American conference play, but Temple has looked good this year. They've struggled in many years past, but yeah, it's just a brutal matchup, man. I mean,
Yeah,
the talent difference is pretty wild. So I think Oklahoma's going to be all right.
no, that's fair. I agree. I agree.
And then we got Wisconsin taking on 19 Alabama. I'm going Bama here. A team, like I said, down is up, left is right. I still kind of feel that way. But I don't think Wisconsin is enough of a test to have me feeling differently. So I'm going Bama.
Yeah, I will say I was so this was a home and home, and Bama came to Wisco
Yeah.
last year, and I was out watching the game at some of the bars. So I just remember this vividly, and honestly, it was pretty close for a while there. But that Wisconsin team wasn't good. Bama still pulled it out. This Wisconsin team is even worse somehow. So I got Bama as well, especially with Bama now being the home team. I just do not see Wisconsin pulling this game out.
Yeah.
They do not have enough offensive firepower.
Yeah. I feel like Bama's not ready for another slap in the face. They already had one week one. Feel like it's a little too soon. Once we get into conference play, we could see some hiccups, but yeah, I don't think it happens here. So yeah, Bama it is. Next one, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna just say it. Probably the game of the week here. We got 6 seed Georgia taking on 15 seed Tennessee. This was brutal. Definitely the toughest game to pick, in my opinion. I did end up going Tennessee, though. That offense has just looked so good. Georgia hasn't really played anybody yet. Not too confident in their quarterback yet, Stockton. But yeah, I mean, they're a powerhouse. They're going to be good. This could certainly go the other way, and it could go in the other way favorably. It's one of those games we haven't learned enough this year. It makes it really tough to pick. But yeah, I'm going Tennessee.
Yeah, I thought this might be one that we had different. It is not. We both decided
Yeah.
to go with the home team in Tennessee here. I don't think that Georgia has looked super good in their first two games against Marshall and Austin P. And I think Tennessee is showing that their offense is really, really clicking right now. They're at home, good defense. I think I got to give the edge to Tennessee in this one.
Nice. That I feel great about that. That one would have been stressful. Like I said, so early in the season. I mean, look at your justification right there. That's what we're going with, people.
Yep.
We we don't have much to go with, but yeah, I like that we're in agreement there. Next one, we got Florida versus number 3 LSU. I'm going LSU. It would have happened regardless of last week's outcome with Florida. I couldn't possibly pick them in this matchup. There's just too much hatred going on. But yeah, LSU, now it's certainly looking like a please you better because South Florida taking the dub last week. And again, just holding Florida's offense to so little. LSU's defense, I could say without a doubt, is going to be better than South Florida's. So I want to see much the same. I want to see that defense limit Florida, want to hold them low 20s max. And yeah, that should be enough for LSU's offense to get the dub.
Yeah, we'll see what Nuss can do.
We'll
Ultimately,
see.
I did also go with LSU here. I think you got to look at it's only two games, not a lot to work with, but Florida played like Long Island, I think it was, in week one, smacked them up, put up a ton of points, and they go to play USF, apparently a semi-real team this year based on what we've seen so
Yeah.
far. They didn't play well at all. LSU was at the very least a semi-real team. I will give them that floor. So I,
I'll take that for
I had to go with LSU at home here in, as you like to say, the real Death
Death
Valley.
Valley,
Yeah,
the real one. Yeah, it's
yeah,
trademarked. Um, we got number 4 Oregon going on the road against your favorite Big Ten school, Northwestern. I know we all know you have Northwestern here, but I'm going Oregon on the road.
yeah. You're so right. I went Northwestern here. I'm trying to give you a point on the week if I do that. Oregon might win this 80-0. Seriously, Northwestern
Oh,
is that bad.
get a bit of a shutout streak going.
Yes.
Um, yeah, Oregon's looked really good. I mean, they really uh, have the talent just funneling in. It was really a seamless transition there. But yeah, they're no joke, so should be no problem for Oregon. Moving on, we got Central Michigan versus 23. They are hanging on by a thread, Michigan. And I got Michigan here. I don't see them falling, especially after losing last week. In a game in which we both picked them to win, a game they probably should have won, but I mean, maybe Oklahoma is something. We will find out. But yeah, here I definitely have them bouncing back.
I agree. I mean, Michigan gets to go back home, play a much lesser team, respectfully, in Central Michigan. So I got Michigan all the way here, unfortunately.
Very nice. Then we got South Alabama taking on the new top 25 team, 24 ranked Auburn. Yeah, I'm going Auburn. Like we said, kind of looking solid. So they should be able to keep that momentum going this week.
Yeah, no, I agree. Auburn's looking good. South Alabama, a little bit of a smaller school, similar matchups we've been talking about weeks 1, weeks 2. So it's got to be Auburn here at home.
Yeah. Moving on, we got Villanova taking on 2 seed Penn State. Is Penn State going to play anybody this year? I got
Eventually,
Penn State.
eventually they
Yeah.
will. Not to start the year, I'll tell you that. They really do enjoy the very slow starts to the season. I will say
Yeah,
that. They
it's
do not play many players, many teams.
I think it's a good tactic. I would maybe strive to get more of a middle ground team before you're thrown into the Big Ten fire.
I know,
But
because
yeah,
we got to play
this is another
Oregon at
one
the
that
end of
should
this
be.
month, so there's not a lot
That's
of
what I mean.
prep time
Don't
here.
you wish you kind of had a little bit of a somewhat of a challenge before that?
It
But
wouldn't. It's not the worst thing. It's hard to say that it's worked in the past since it hasn't gone all the way, but like it hasn't
yeah,
not worked either since it's
yeah,
really just one bogey team that gets us all the time. But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah. I mean, you look at Penn State's record against unranked teams and all that. It's pretty phenomenal as of late. It's just those big games, James, and whatnot.
exactly. That's one of my favorite things to say. But what I want to see this week, Penn State, obviously, another home game for them. Happy Valley again. I want to see
Mhm.
a fluent passing attack. Please. It's all I'm
Yeah,
asking for.
consistent state.
Drew, please.
I think you'll get your wish. I think they win this one in a prettier game. Um, but yeah, let's move on. We got Oregon State taking on 21 Texas Tech. I got Texas Tech here. We mentioned it. Their offense has been cooking with gas. I don't think Oregon State's going to keep up.
I agree. I think that Texas Tech is just going to put up enough points, regardless of how their defense plays, to win this game at home.
Very nice. Next, we got 14 Iowa State taking on Arkansas State. I got Iowa State here. Yeah, I mean, they've already kind of been tested twice now. This is a kind of a gimme game. I think they'll be all right.
Yep. No, I agree. I got Iowa State here. Should be no problem for them in Arkansas State.
Very nice. Next, we got Louisiana versus 25 Missouri. Mizzou here, new to the top 25, as you mentioned, ex Penn State player at the helm, looking really good. And yeah, this team's been solid the last handful of years. I think they're going in the right direction, and I don't think they fall here.
No, I agree. I agree. Just to add to your point about Missouri looking really good pretty consistently, if Luther Burden doesn't have a bit of a drop off last year, I think they could have been quite a good team for what's looking like might be 3 years in a row. Because 2 years in a row they
Yeah.
were really good, won a lot of games. I forget what they topped out at in the top 25, but low teens at worst, I
Yeah, it was pretty
think.
good.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty solid. So I think as a program, they're heading in the right direction. They've got a big challenge in the SEC to overtake some of the big boys, but
Yeah, they
consistently in
do.
the top 25, that's a start right there.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm all for it. Definitely a team I don't mind being good. But next we got UTEP taking on 7 Texas. You mentioned it, another game for Arch to get his shoulder loosened up or whatever the hell's going on. But yeah, I still have Texas here, even if if Arch is deemed injured or whatever the heck's going on there, I think Texas will be able to hold them off.
Yeah. No, I agree. I got Texas. Should be no problem.
Okay. Next we got 18 South Florida taking on 5 Miami. Uh, it was tempting, I'm not gonna lie. It seems like a March Madness style miracle run, but yeah, I had to go Miami. I just think it's a more talented team than Florida, and I think Florida was very talented too. And if South Florida played them 9 more times, they probably dropped 6 of them. But yeah, they just happened to win last week. But yeah, I'm going Miami here. I think it's the end of the run for now, but I certainly do think South Florida is a good team. Will probably stay relevant and ranked when it's all said and done.
Yeah. No, I went through a very similar thought process. I wanted to so
Yeah, it's
badly
tempting. Yeah,
believe in the 3-0 start, taking down 3 ranked teams. That would be crazy
yeah,
for USF to win
it would. It'd
beat
be
3
historic.
ranked opponents for them. But I just don't see it traveling to Miami here. I think Miami puts an end to the run for now. But I agree with you. I think when it's all said and done, with Miami being ranked 5, as long as they don't get completely blown out, they'll probably remain in the very back end of the top 25.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and they deserve to stay in. Honestly, that's a wild start to the season, but yeah, boy, it would be fun if they win it. And now that we both confirmed picked Miami, I really hope it happens.
Yeah.
But next we got Ohio taking on number 1 seed Ohio State. I mean, I'm going Ohio State here.
Yeah, I also have Ohio State. Just
Yeah,
unfortunate, but yeah, they're gonna win.
yeah, I'm sure you're itching to pull the trigger on on one of them, but yeah, this
Ah,
is not the week.
November 1st, baby. November 1st.
Yeah, there you go. But next we got Western Michigan taking on 9 seed Illinois. They're climbing up. Broke the top 10 here. They're at 9. And yeah, I think they'll stay at 9 or even get a little closer to that coveted 1 spot. But yeah, Illinois getting the dub here.
No, yeah, I agree. Same thing. Western Michigan shouldn't pose much of a challenge for Illinois at home. As you mentioned, moved up into the top 10. By the end of the week, they really put a beat down. One of the other guys fall in the top 8, which, if things turn out how we picked, they will. Could move up even another spot or two. We'll see.
Yeah. Next we got Arkansas taking on 17 Ole Miss. This one was tempting me to go upset, but I ended up sticking with Ole Miss. Um, just because they played Kentucky last week, already kind of got introduced into the conference play this year, and they are home.
Yeah, I was also very tempted to pick Arkansas here, especially with Ole Miss's performance against Kentucky last week. Was not super impressed with what I saw out of them, but that's fine. Still pulled out the dub, and I'm not a super big fan of Arkansas this year. So I went Ole Miss. As you said, they are
Okay.
home, which does make a
Yes.
difference.
You don't gotta tell me, brother. Uh, yeah, actually, I'm gonna save that one for last. We got a decent matchup. I'm gonna save it for last. We got Vanderbilt taking on 11 South Carolina next. Actually, another decent matchup in itself. If Vandy was home here, I really, really would have been tempted to go upset. But I am gonna stick with South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm sticking with South Carolina as well, but I think Vandy might
They're
truly
solid,
announce
man.
itself. They've actually looked like a good football team these first 2 weeks,
Yeah,
so I think Vandy might
yeah.
announce themselves with a good game here, truly.
Yeah, I think so too. And even going back last year, I mean, it's not the Vandy of old. They're competitive, and they're competitive in the SEC,
Mhm.
one of the best conferences. So yeah, they're a legit squad. But yeah, I'm going South Carolina. Next we got 20 Utah, another team climbing a little bit, getting a little bit more respect. They're taking on Wyoming. I got Utah here. We know it, underrated, and yeah, they're nothing to mess around with, so they're gonna take this one.
Same. Also got Utah here. They're gonna continue their rise in the rankings.
Very nice. So then wrapping up college week 3, we got 16 Texas A&M going against 8 seed Notre Dame. Went back and forth a lot here. I ended up siding with Notre Dame. One of the main reasons I did so is again, really like their coach. I hate that they have him. He's so young and he's going to be there forever and drive me nuts. That and them having that week 2 bye, they were able to prep for this A&M team for 2 weeks. So I think that makes a difference there, and I'm going Notre Dame.
Yeah, I very reluctantly also picked Notre Dame to win this game. They're at home. As you mentioned, coach is excellent. They have Jeremiah Love. In my opinion, this Texas A&M defense has left a lot to be desired to this point. I think Notre Dame capitalizes and wins this game. I wouldn't be surprised if this one's closer to a 14 to 20 point victory for Notre Dame rather than something kind of close.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking that too. This one could go a blowout way or just multiple possession. And yeah, if it does go that way, I certainly seeing it being in Notre Dame's favor.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Alrighty. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our week 3 picks here, and we have
Yeah,
one difference.
one.
Only one.
And I don't feel
Clemson,
great
Georgia
about it.
Tech. Yeah, so we'll see if I can pick up a game to get down to only one behind, or if you continue to extend your lead by a snail's one game a week, but it's a consistent one game a week. So that's all you can really
Yeah.
ask for. 1-0 each week, right? But yes, that brings us to the end of this Palm City Chucks episode. Week 2 recap, week 3 picks. We appreciate you all for joining in. As always, please like, subscribe, let us know. Let us know what you think, and we'll be back with you next week.
Later, PCC!